Good morning, Humber College students, staff, faculty, and administrators. It is my pleasure to welcome you here today as we announce our latest initiative designed to support students and their mental health on campus. Some of you may be aware that it is Mental Health Week in Canada, which is why we've gathered here today to unveil Humber's new Friendship Bench, a simple and effective tool to encourage students to support each other and provide a listening ear when it's needed. This morning we will be hearing from several people who will tell us more about this important initiative. But the idea is simple. The bench is a highly visible reminder of the importance of talking about mental health. It is somewhere a student who's feeling lonely or overwhelmed can sit and be joined by another student. And it can be an important first step in getting help for someone who may be struggling. You'll hear more about the Friendship Bench and how it got started when co-founder Sam Fiorella speaks shortly. Let me now introduce our president and CEO, Dr. Chris Whitaker.
Thank you very much, Jason. I'm delighted to be here today, and just let me start off by saying everybody's looking very yellow today. And as Ahmed pointed out to me, we picked a great location because we're in a yellow venue. Look at those walls. We even painted them yellow, especially for today's event. So really pleased to be here. And I'm always surprised when we get great turnout for events, but I'm never surprised because at Humber, people always turn out for a good cause. And given that this is our turnaround week, even for classes, it's amazing that we have such a great turnout for an event like this today. But what it says is that people here, staff, faculty, students, supporters from the community, recognize the importance of looking after our students, their physical well-being, their mental well-being, their academic well-being, and today is great, and we're very honored to have partnered with Sam Fiorella and the co-founders of the Friendship Bench, so we're really pleased to be here today. And we know that our students, like all of us, have very busy lives. And when we come here, we talk a lot about academic success, but we know that students, and none of us really, can leave what's going on in our personal lives behind when we come here. So at the college, because we are so committed to the success of our students, we know that we have to be concerned with their well-being in a very holistic way. Of course, academically, but we need to provide supports. We need to make students aware of the supports that are available to help them with every part of their life in order for them to be successful. And obviously, if people are having difficulties in their personal lives with mental health issues in particular, that can show up, as we know, and have a significant impact on their academic success, but their success as individuals as well. So that's why I really love this initiative of the Friendship Bench, because it's a further extension of many of the services, those wraparounds, as I like to call it, that we like to offer here at Humber College. And even though, yes, it is a bench, and it's great to have one at Lakeshore and at the North, it is a bench where people can sit, where they can connect. But the most important part is the symbolic part of this bench. It is a yellow bench, so even if people don't sit on it, it's a reminder. We need to create awareness. It's a reminder of the importance of making connections, the importance of people have issues of mental health. They don't have to suffer silently. They can talk to others, because through conversation we find out that we're not alone. Nobody is unique in the sense that the problems that they're experiencing are unique to them. Others are, and we don't discover that unless we have conversations with each other. So the bench is a great symbolic initiative in that way to encourage us to have those conversations, and I think it's a nice addition to the Humber community. I often speak to folks about what a great family atmosphere it is here, and we have a caring community where people look after each other. So this is a natural fit, and it aligns well with those values that we have here at Humber College. So again, we look forward to this raising awareness of those many services that we have to support students, both on and off campus. And just want to highlight that we also know that we are going to have the hashtag, yellow is for hello. Hey, that's pretty catchy. I'm going to start using it. And this will give students and others a way to connect so they continue those discussions. So we do know that friendship benches have been installed at other secondary and post-secondary institutions, reminding us that student mental health is an important issue that goes beyond our community of Humber, but out into the community everywhere. We all need to continue to raise awareness and support people to openly talk about mental health, to support our students and everybody at Humber. So with that, I want to thank you all for being here today as we have this ceremony to unveil our first bench. And at this point, I would like to introduce Sam Fiorella, who is the co-founder of the Friendship Bench. Round of applause.
Thank you very much, Chris. We organized this event just on moving day here, just so that we can, a little bit of extra, activity always makes it a more interesting, usually it's the food that drives most of the students over. Now we know that we're trying to get the movers to pay attention. I'm thrilled to be here at Humber College. So the first thing I would like to say is thank you. Thank you to the school, the faculty, and all the volunteers that have worked so hard to get this program here. We launched Yellow is for Hello a year ago, actually almost a year ago this week, as in reaction to the loss of my son. My son died of depression a year and a half ago. It's a little bit more than a year and a half ago. And in the shock and in the aftermath of that, we learned quite a bit, things we didn't know. We, and I'll speak for all of us in my family and my circle of friends, were pretty ignorant when it comes to mental health and mental health issues. When we had to learn, and we had to learn pretty quick. One of the stories that I like to tell at these unveiling ceremonies is the actions that my son took before he died. Because that is what inspired this program. My son was a second-year university student and had been suffering in silence, we learned after the fact, from depression for a number of years. However, that didn't stop him from having an incredible amount of empathy for other students. And we had a number of students reach out to us at the funeral and in the weeks and months after his death, and they all said pretty much the same thing. It's ironic that Lucas died from depression because he saved my life from depression. And there was one story after the next. They were coming in almost daily for the first weeks after his death. And the one story I'd like to tell, the first one we heard the day of his funeral, was in high school. Before he made it to university, he saw a girl that he didn't really speak to that often, but knew, and noticed that while him and his friends were walking down the hallway, she was by herself. And she must have had some look on her face that he recognized. And he stopped and said, "Hello." Well, that conversation led to her breaking down and admitting that she was contemplating taking her life that day. He stayed with her for the day and skipped some classes, I later learned, and stayed with her until she went home and told her parents, her mom specifically, what was happening, and she got help. And she's gone on into university after that. And then we heard so many of these stories. Students were looking to drop out of school because they didn't know what they were doing, but Lucas reached out and counseled them back. Students were going to drop out of first year of university because they couldn't get used to dorm life, weren't making any friends, were alone at a party. We heard stories of him leaving his friends at dorm parties and going and sitting with somebody who was by themselves. That's another woman told me the story that she had decided that day to leave after only 3 weeks of university in their first year because she just couldn't connect to anybody in the dorms. And she said, "Here I am at a party and I just can't make any friends." She was sitting by herself. He left his friends, went and sat next to her and just said hello. That conversation started a bit of a friendship, and he stayed with her until she walked around and got some friends, and she's still in university. So these stories inspired us, my co-founders, Danny Brown, Robert Clark, and myself were sitting around, and they said to me, "Isn't it a shame that he's not here anymore to carry on that work?" And we thought, what better way to honor my son and the work that he was doing than to try and carry on that legacy. And so that's what the Yellow is for Hello program is really all about. It's about saying hello to your peers. And what we've discovered in this program afterwards is that what's the most powerful element of our program is peer-to-peer connections. One of the things we've discovered is that a lot of universities, colleges, and secondary schools, and increasingly, are making an incredible amount of services available to students that need help. Yet there's a lot of students that remain silent and don't ask for that help. My son was one of them. He was at Carleton University, and despite the number of resources that they make available and the time and the money that they spend, just like Humber here does, too many students were remaining silent. And you notice that I say, my son died of depression. I rarely say my son died by suicide. And it's because it's depression that killed him. It was depression that he felt most strongly and he couldn't talk about. The suicide was a byproduct of the illness, which was mental health. And I think that's how we want to reframe this conversation. Mental health is a health issue. Mental illness is a health issue. The one message that I like to share with everybody when I'm talking to students in particular in this past year is that you really do need to think about your mental health as students as part of your health. If you have diabetes, you don't hesitate talking about it. You don't hesitate going to the doctor. You don't hesitate to ask for help or to take medication if that's the case. Even, heaven forbid, it's something more serious like cancer. What's the first thing you do? You ask for help and you welcome that help. You need that help. Well, your brain is really no different in terms of being an organ. It's an organ like any other organ in your body. In fact, it's that much more complex. So the likelihood of there being things that can go wrong with it is greater. And we don't understand it. We don't understand how the brain works, unfortunately, the way that we can analyze the heart or the liver. And so there isn't as many treatments, and there isn't as much dialogue around it. There isn't as much research around it yet. We haven't cracked that code, but we're getting there. But in the meantime, what we can do is speak to each other. The power of hello is incredible. So in the last year, my wife, who's here with me, Susan, and my daughter up there filming right now, Vanessa, and the volunteer committee that we've put together that have just rallied around this message have been going from school to school across Canada promoting this program. And we've realized in the feedback that we're getting that the message is resonating. And the message that's resonating is students want to hear from students. They get the message from their parents potentially, they get the message from health services, from the faculty of the school, but what's really resonating is that peer-to-peer conversation, be it through social media or face-to-face. And so it is Susan, Vanessa, and my hope that Lucas's legacy will help inspire you. His efforts will help inspire all of you. That bench is here, not just to eat your lunch on, which we hope you will do, a place to hang out when you really don't want to go to class. I didn't say that. But you use it like any other bench. But when you do, think about sitting with a friend, and while you're talking about your social media, while you're talking about what was on television last night, what movie you went to see, complain about your date not showing up last night, or complaining about your grades, also take a minute out of your day and ask, how you doing? How you really feeling? Be empathetic enough to listen and be courageous enough to ask for help when necessary. All it takes is a hello. That one hello can start a conversation that can save a life. And that life might be your own. Right? So with that, I'd like to once again say thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to partner with Humber College on this initiative. Thank you for your support. And I really look forward to many years to come, working on Yellow is for Hello. So when you see this bench, but not only when you see the bench, whenever you see yellow anywhere around this school, remember, Yellow is for Hello. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Sam, for those amazing remarks. I'd like to now call the Dean of Students at Humber College up for some remarks, Jen McMillan.
Thanks very much, Jason, and thank you, Sam, for sharing your very personal and powerful story. Unfortunately, we know that what Lucas was experiencing is not unique on many post-secondary campuses across our country, and we know that many students on a regular basis experience a sense of hopelessness. And this initiative is part of many that we've taken on here at Humber to try and change that sense of hopelessness and to try and provide some of those supports to help our students feel like they have a voice, not only to help themselves, but also to help others. At Humber, we've made a very significant effort to increase our conversation about mental health and to do it, frankly, in a very loud and unapologetic way, which is extremely important. We've done so in a lot of different ways. We've done so by creating policy that talks to students who are unwell, who are experiencing a health crisis, as Sam so elegantly put. Take a step out and take a breath and take a break from school, but at the same time say to them, when you're ready, we want you to come back because we believe you will be well again. And when you are well, you will be successful, and we want you as part of our community. We've trained over 900 faculty and staff in mental health first aid that helps us recognize the signs and symptoms that someone might be experiencing a mental health problem, and then tells us how to intervene, how to say hello, how to say, are you okay? Can I help? What can we do? Because all of us have had this touch our lives. And we've had an incredible response from our community to say, yes, I want to know more because I want to help. We've integrated our Health, Counseling, and Accessibility Center in order to provide that wraparound support that Chris was talking about so that students don't have to tell their story more than once, because sometimes once is hard enough. And so we've said it's our job. Once you find the courage to tell us that you need help, we're going to figure out a way to get you all the different aspects of help that you need in order to help you be a successful student and a successful member of our community. We've opened our first and hopefully not last LGBTQ resource center right over to the side here because we know that members of these communities face a much higher rate of suicide and attempted suicide than some of their peers, and that place is a place they can walk in and say hello and find someone who will listen and support and be able to relate to some of the experiences that they might be having on our campuses. You know, it is Mental Health Week in Canada, and there's a guy named Justin who released a statement yesterday that I thought I would read a little bit from, who has very personal experience with mental illness and has a very, very courageous mother. And he said, we all have a responsibility to raise our awareness about mental health. We must actively encourage honest and open conversations in our homes, our workplaces, and our communities about what mental health is and what we can do to increase our collective well-being. We must listen to our loved ones, our colleagues, our friends, look out for signs and offer them support and advice in times of need. It can be a challenge for all of us to cope with the fast pace of life, daily stresses, and obligations. We all need to stand strong together. I don't know if there's a group of people more than our post-secondary students who deal with a fast pace of life, who need the chance to stand strong together. And we truly believe that this bench is the starting place for that conversation. So I do want to thank everyone who has worked so hard to bring the bench here. Sam, to your family and your co-founders for having the courage to start this initiative, and all of us as we collectively engage in this conversation on how do we eliminate stigma from our lives. At this point, I'd like to welcome Ahmed Tahir, our president of Humber Students Federation, to offer some words. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And for me, I'd just like to begin by saying, Sam, there is plenty of yellow at Humber, so there's going to be a lot of hello around the hallways. And I'd also like to say I really appreciate the the commitment that the school has shown to not only starting a conversation about mental health and illness, but maintaining that conversation throughout. It's something that, in talking to students all the time, it's so important for them to speak to each other about these issues. And you hear it daily from a student throughout the school year, the issues they're facing and the fear that they have on talking about these issues. And all of us are facing it, and removing that stigma, I think, can do wonders in helping students just be happier and feel more a part of the community here at Humber. That friendship bench, it's a great way to get students to talk to other students, because who understands what a student's going through more than their peer? And sometimes all it takes to feel better is to know that you're not alone in what you're feeling. And a lot of us are feeling this way throughout the year, and I think I can't wait to see the first person sit there as well. So I wonder who that first person is going to be, and I'm so excited to see her. Okay, you will be. And this bench is key for the students who feel alone. They feel like no one cares about them, or that they don't have any friends in the community. But it's also important for the students who are sitting next to these students and can have the opportunity to let these students know that they're not alone. And as Sam mentioned, it is sometimes so surprising and ironic when a student who is so helpful to other students with their mental health issues is struggling with the same issues themselves. And I really feel like by encouraging students to reach out to each other, we're going to be creating and continue to create a community where mental health and mental illness, that conversation, is no longer a secret that we talk about with someone that we don't know, that we call a helpline, which are important, but those peer-to-peer conversations, which is the focus of this bench, is where we can talk openly and honestly about all the struggles that we face together. So thank you, and that bench is going to be used a lot, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Ahmed. I would like to now call Sam, Chris, Ahmed, and Jen to the unveiling of the bench. This is also your time for audience participation. Sam Fiorella is going to count down from 3 to 1, and to make this extremely impactful, when you hear the word 1, we're all going to scream yellow. Can you try it with me? 3, 2, 1. Yellow! All right. I think our unveilers are just about ready. Sam's going to give me the word. Ahmed, get a piece of that. And our president. 3, 2, 1. Yellow! We're also going to get to see the sign that corresponds to the additional features of Yellow is for Hello and the Friendship Bench. The hashtag will be forever remembered on that commemorative plaque, and we have the We Got You plastered on the pillar just next to the yellow bench. So all of the resources are connected. Again, a big round of applause for the yellow bench. Last but certainly not least, thank you to everybody for coming today. Thank you for making time and demonstrating how committed we are for improving the conversation, the peer-to-peer conversation around mental health on campus. I'd like to thank everybody who participated and led this initiative, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank Professor Margot Rykoff for spearheading this event. She's a professor in the nursing program who is intimately aware of the Fiorella story, brought it to our attention, and lived to see the day where we now have a bench at the North. We have commitment to having a bench at the Lakeshore campus in the Welcome Center, and it's directly related to that idea. And so I want to give Margot Rykoff a big round of applause. having something like this come from idea to implementation takes a lot of people. And so I'm going to stumble and fall on my face if I try to list everybody. So just know that there was a many people committed to helping and get this initiative off. And I really want to thank you all. And I hope you see the value of your work today as we unveil the Friendship Bench and everything that it stands for. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today. I look forward to seeing everybody on that bench, and I especially look forward to passing you in the hallway, looking me in the eye and saying, hello. Thanks everybody for coming.
It's like you're always stuck in second gear.